This is a different club there
Cindy,
that I'm
you
thinking
tell
of.
it.
But go
Go
ahead.
for it.
You've got
Cindy's
this.
turn.
You got this
You
one.
got this one.
Okay. You're not joining.
I am.
I got a
yeah,
horse.
He's only got one leg.
Put your bear down and happy
Okay.
legs.
I got a one-legged
Happy
horse.
legs.
I better name you guys horses.
I'm Stallion.
I'm going to name you Hoof. Harder. Jeannie,
Yes.
you're Ida.
Oh,
Okay.
Emily,
Oh dear.
don't.
Oh,
Fred,
I'm not here.
Oh.
I'm not here. I've got a
join?
one-legged horse.
You aren't going to join?
Yes.
I've got a one-legged horse. What do you want him to walk on another leg? He's only got one leg.
Ida.
I'm going to name you
Be a sport.
Ida.
She's Ida.
Oh,
No, she's Ida. You're Ida did.
I did it. Okay, whatever. Sounds like my brother now.
Your name?
I know. I did.
Stanley. You're
I got a short-term memory loss here.
me too.
Me three.
Okay. Jenny, will you
Okay.
be soda?
Soda?
You ready? Okay.
I want to be Wilbur.
Here's the horse lovers club. What's your name?
Hoof. 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 Heart.
Hoof horse. Ida.
Mia. Don't.
I did.
Stanley.
Me too.
Me three.
So did I.
Soda. Soda.
Put
Soda.
this straight.
Soda
Okay.
pop.
We gotta go faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a race, you guys.
Yes.
All right. Hoof heart.
I do. I do. Yeah,
Me
whatever.
two. Don't.
I know.
Stanley.
Me too.
Me three.
Soda.
Jokes and fun. And they would get somebody, and we call it the Horse Lovers Club as well. But he would get some innocent person in the room, and
Not
they're
here.
not. They're
None of you are innocent.
No, we're not
nobody's
innocent.
Keep going.
they want to become a member of this,
Okay.
and so we're going to. So they blindfold them, and my dad is standing here, and they're over here, and my dad says to them, "Okay, you need to be a member of this. You need to learn about the parts of the horse." And he would say, "Okay, now imagine that the horse is standing in front of you,
Okay.
and I want you, and remember they're blindfolded, and I want you to point to where their nose is." And they would go like that. And he said, "Okay, that's pretty good. Now where would their left ear be?" And they would go like that. "No, their left ear." Okay. So, and he would say, "Okay, no, that's good. You're doing well. And what about their right hoof?" And, they would think, down here, right down here. "And what about their left hoof?" "Okay, over here." He said, "You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Now we're going to turn the horse around." And he said, "Okay, now where would their left hoof be? Left rear hoof?" "Okay, over here." "And what about their right?" Over here. Now, and where would their tail be?" "Right here." "Okay, now we're going to lift up the tail and look at the business end. And where would that be?" And they would, right here, and he would have Vaseline. In a jar of Vaseline.
I have one. I used to live in Charleston, South Carolina.
No.
Okay. And I took a walking tour just to learn more about the city. I've done it 12 years. And the walking tour guide had us stop in front of City Hall, and we went in and saw this picture of George Washington, the original picture of George Washington with the City Hall council members in their council chamber. And he was leaning his elbow up against the horse, and he was standing there regally in his uniform and all that. And I said, well, the story behind this picture is that the city council commissioned them to draw a picture of George Washington on his visit to Charleston, and they wanted the skyline of all the church steeples and stuff in the picture. Well, he drew it, and it was a gorgeous picture of this guy, that's
George Washington.
George Washington with his horse, and the focal point was the horse, and the skyline was really small and behind it. Said, no, we're not going to pay for that. We're going to have to have a picture of the focal point of being the skyline. So he redrew the picture of George Washington with his arm up on his horse, this big huge skyline. It was a gorgeous picture, and they paid him, and he went on. He took the other one, and it's now in the Smithsonian. And then they realized the focal point was of the horse's ass. He had his elbow right up on his butt.
Yeah.
We should take a movie of
Well-
this cat.
Wait, hang on. Are you ready? I mean, y'all obviously discuss your theatrical roles, right?
I'm gonna get some needed help from my assistant here. My
Oh,
able-bodied.
All right, brother and sister.
We've all agreed to be kind of silent here because I don't think well when I interrupt you.
All right, guys.
But this is a story that my father told, and I don't know where he learned it from.
His father.
Probably,
So at least George first. George Bogart first.
And my dad was, our dad was a Boy Scout, and this story was told many a times around campfires and certainly amongst family members, and as we're all growing up, and we've all some of us have heard this story, most of us have, but it's a story of Brer Coon. And Brer Coon lived back in the briar patch, it seems like to me, and he every morning he would get up early in the morning as the sun was coming up, and he would wander down to the pond, and he would catch himself a frog, and he would eat that frog. And day after that was his meal for the day, and he might have a couple of frogs. And so he was pretty plump and fat. And so this went on for days and days and days, and finally one day he goes down there and he catches this huge frog, and his name was
King Frog.
King Frog. And he was so big, this King Frog. I mean, Brer Coon looked at him and he said, I don't know if I can eat one this big. And that King Frog turned around and said, don't eat me, don't eat me.
I's the King Frog.
I's the King Frog, and you can't eat me. You eat me, and I'm going to tell all them other frogs are going to run and hide, and you'll starve to death. And Brer Coon didn't believe it. He said, oh, no, this is a great meal. I'm not giving this up for anything. He said, so he ate the King Frog, and it was such a great meal. He went back up on the hill, and he laid down, and the sun was shining, and he just laid on, and took him a big long nap.
3 days.
And the next day, he comes down to get his morning frog, and he starts walking down the hill, and here comes Brer Coon. Brer Coon's coming. Brer Coon.
Here he comes.
Here he comes.
Run and hide.
Running high. Running high. Running high.
Run and
So
hide.
Brer Coon didn't know what was going on. Why they running and hiding? He said, well, I'll come back tomorrow, and I'll get me a frog tomorrow. So he said, so he comes back the next day, and as he's walking down, here comes Brer Coon, running high, running high, running high. And so they all went and hid, and again, Brer Coon didn't have anything to eat that day. And so this went on for several days, and he's getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and he doesn't, he's getting very thin, and
He kicks around. He got really hungry.
It got really hungry.
Himself a snail. Wasn't it that time?
I think so. The snails and just anything he could eat.
There was a wiggly worm one time too.
Yeah.
He didn't like that one.
It wasn't fulfilling, that's for sure, because he had gotten so thin his eyes were sunken in, and his belly was really small, and he didn't know what he was going to do because these frogs would just run and hide every time he came. And finally, one day he's coming down to the beach, and he's looking, just scounding around, kicking things around, and looking terrible, and feeling terrible. And he's there, and Brer Rabbit happened to be there. And Brer Rabbit says, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm come down here for the last week or so and looking for me a frog, and there ain't no frogs here. They all say, 'Here comes Brer Coon, run and hide, run and hide, run and hide.' And they're just gone. I can't catch me one, and I've been starving all this time, and I'm getting pretty weak." And Brer Rabbit says, "Boy, that's a shame you're not getting anything to eat. What are you going to do about it?" He said, "I don't know. I don't have any idea how I can find something to eat because they just run and hide, run and hide." Brer Rabbit was kind of looking at him and said, "Well, boy, I don't know what you're going to do. But he said, "I got me an idea." He said, what I want you to do is tomorrow morning at sunup, you come down here and you kind of walk around a little bit and kind of like you're really sick, and you just walk around and all of a sudden you get someplace and you just flop down and don't you move a muscle." He said, "You stay there until I tell you to get up."
Yeah, and it was like, don't twitch your nose, don't wiggle your tail, something like that.
It's up to, yeah, exactly.
Don't you move an
Among-
eyelash.
yeah.
Right,
A
right.
muscle.
And so Brer Coon said, "I don't know how that's going to work, but I've got to try something. I'm starving here." So the next morning, sun up, he comes down to the to the beach there, and he stumbles around a little bit and kicks a couple of rocks and things of that sort. And the frogs that said run and hide, they were just all in the briar patch. And so he did like Brer Rabbit said. He walked around a little bit, and finally he got to a place and he just flopped right there.
You want me to be Brer Rabbit?
You want me to what?
You
Brer
want me to
Rabbit,
be-
yeah.
Want me to be Brer Rabbit?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Oh,
Pretty soon, Brer Coon laid there for a while. Brer Rabbit came hopping down the hill, looking around. Pretty soon he sees Brer Coon. He says, Brer Coon, you sleeping? Brer Coon, are you sleeping? Brer Coon didn't move a muscle. He didn't twitch an eyelash. He stayed still. Brer Rabbit says, Brer Coon, you look really sick. Are you dead? Brer Rabbit runs over. Brer Coon, you dead! All the froggies said, don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Don't believe it. Don't
Eh.
believe it. Don't believe it.
Right.
Don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
Oh.
And Brer Rabbit says, he's dead. Come see.
Gave him a swift kick. Oh yeah. And he didn't twitch an eyelash. He didn't move a muscle.
One of the froggies says, don't believe it. He says, come here, check. One of them ran up, kicked him. Brer Coon didn't move a muscle. He laid there. He was dead. Another froggy came over. He poked him. Brer Coon didn't move. Didn't move at all.
Brer Coon not dead.
Go ahead, Dad.
Go check. Go check.
No.
Run check. So that frog said Brer Coon not dead. He got up the nerve and he got ready. He ran over. Brer
Your
Coon
turn.
is dead.
Brer Coon not dead. Yeah, I think he's dead. No, he's just sleeping there. He's not dead. I touched him. He's not dead at all. Brer Rabbit says, well, I think he might be. You know, he hasn't moved a muscle there. You guys have been touching him and stuff. What do you think we ought to do? And the frog said, I don't know. Brer Coon, he's dead. And Brer Rabbit says, maybe we ought to bury him. Well, why would we do that? Well, if we bury him, then he can't get up and get out of there and get you. Well, that might be a pretty good idea. But Brer Rabbit says, I can't dig a hole. Maybe you can dig a hole. And they said, well, okay, maybe we'll dig a hole. But I'm not sure Brer Coon dead. Well, Brer Rabbit says, you know, we bury him and we'd be sure that he's dead. And so they started to dig a hole, and they got a few inches down, and they said, okay, we got the hole, Brer Rabbit, we got the hole here for him. And they said, well,
Deep enough?
Deep enough,
Deep
right.
enough?
He says, what, that's not deep enough to bury him. You want to make sure he doesn't get out of there. And they said, well, okay, we'll dig a little bit deeper hole. And so they got a little bit deeper hole. And they said, okay, now deep enough. The rabbit said, I don't think that's really deep enough. You got to dig more. So they get a little bit further, and they said, okay, we think we're deep enough. You have to get us a ladder to get out of here now, because we're so down. Far down.
Deep enough.
Deep enough.
Right.
I didn't city.
Deep enough. Deep enough. Deep enough. A big frog says that. And they said, well, you know, I know that you're down there, and you got somebody's going to have to help you out or something, but I think you probably should dig a little deeper. So they dug, and they got it deep enough. Now you're really going to have to help us out of here, Brer Rabbit, because we for sure can't get out. Even with a ladder, we don't know how we're going to get out of here. So Brer Rabbit turned to Brer Coon.
Brer Rabbit says, Brer Coon, rise up and get your supper. Then he got up and he got himself a froggy.
Yeah.